Okay, we're going to begin our regularly scheduled October public meeting. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone has any cell phones or electronic devices, if you could kindly silence them or turn them off, it would be most appreciated. First item we're going to do on our agenda tonight, in case no one has heard, but a longtime resident of Concord Township recently passed away, Rufus Smiley. Rufus always used to sit here on the right-hand side of this building, and I think in the old building might have been the right-hand side also, second row. And we have a proclamation honoring Mr. Miley. Whereas Concord Township recognizes the importance of an engaged citizenry, and in the wake of his passing, we would like to honor Rufus L. Miley for his unwavering commitment to good governance in Concord Township. Whereas Rufus L. Miley was recognized in 1991 by the Concord Township Board of Supervisors for Resolution 5 of 1991 for his service as a member of the Township's Planning Commission for 10-plus years, 5 of which he served as chairman. Whereas Rufus Miley, as a member of the Planning Commission, was instrumental in developing the Planning Commission bylaws, and whereas Rufus Miley regularly attended township meetings and actively participated in public comment throughout his time as a resident. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Concord Township Council, honor the memory of Mr. Rufus L. Miley for being an engaged and informed citizen of Concord Township through his faithful attendance, active engagement, and commitment to good government. This proclamation is dated today, 15th of October, 2019. We have a motion to...
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions? None?
Can I just
Sure, go ahead.
say I've had the pleasure of getting pretty close to Rufus in the last couple of years, and he will be dearly missed. I thank you, Mr. President, for that, and Council for that kind proclamation. I will leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else? Don, you have anything you want to add? Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Rufus's daughter is here. If we just come up, we're going to present this. And thank you. I'm sure you're watching us.
Live streamed.
So if I call for public comment and no one stands but you hear voices, be aware. Okay, next is the approval of the public meeting minutes. We have the agenda meeting of August 27th, 2019, the regular meeting of September 3rd, 2019, and the agenda meeting of September 24th, 2019. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes? We have a second.
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question
Sure.
on the August 27th minutes, the agenda meeting minutes. I recall that we had discussed getting different cameras in the room, and there was a consensus to have that done so that we could begin to record the work agenda meetings, the last Tuesday of the month meeting. They have been installed. My understanding is they do work, and I don't know why we would wait any further to start live streaming and replaying those meetings as well.
Well, is
And that was not in the, there was nothing in the meeting minutes about the approval of the cameras, which obviously were approved. They've been installed. They're right up there. They swivel. So we're ready to rock and roll. I don't know what the holdup is.
I personally don't recall specifically discussing when the cameras would be streaming the workshop meetings. I do remember us voting on installing the cameras at meetings months ago. I don't have a recollection of specifically talking about the use of the cameras for the minutes, for the meetings at that time. Amanda, can you share anything with us on that?
I actually believe that that was the agenda meeting earlier. There was discussion at the end of that. I think, Josh, and you had put that in an email where you had a question about when we're going to start doing different things. But but I actually believe that we had reflection of that in a previous agenda meeting, but I'd have to go back and look. But I don't recall extensive conversation about that either at the August 27th.
I distinctly remember Dominic saying,
That
let's
was
get
when-
the cameras going and let's get them going. And-
Well, no, I remember walking up this corridor with you and saying the cameras were operational, and I said that we will probably bring them into effect after the first of the year.
And I think it was
But
after
But
the
that was
meeting.
not, I was outside of the meeting, Josh. It was you and I standing over there where Dana's sitting right now. So we have a motion and a second for the meeting. Should we just approve them as they are? So moved. Second, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Next is the total expenditures of the month of $1,277,783.23. September payroll of $147,478.72. Current bills totaling $918,741.47. Sewer bills totaling $211,563.04. We have a motion to approve those expenditures. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
And these weren't in the September 3rd meeting minutes. My question is, and as part of the expenditures, I just want to make sure, has there been any additional diversion of funds to the Concord Republican Party via the solicitor, as we discussed on the September 3rd?
What? Version of funds
Yes.
from
We had
Concord Township government to the Concord Township.
Concord Republican Party, correct.
I think you already know that answer. No.
I'm sorry?
There's been no, you're saying there's been any checks cut from the
Well, what I-
checkbook
no,
here
what I-
for the
what I-
township to the solicitor, to the Republican Party?
No. What I said was that there are funds being diverted in the way that the solicitor has no other ties to the township but for his six-figure job, and there are donations being made to the Concord Township Republican Party. And this was not, we had this discussion on the
But
September the 3rd,
that has
and it
nothing
did not
to
make the
do-
minutes.
The only thing we can speak to tonight is the checks that we all signed, yourself included, prior to this meeting to the vendors that billed us accordingly. And I can tell you that in my recollection, there was nothing there to the Concord Township Republican Party, or I'm sure you would have pointed out to it, but I would never have signed it either, nor do I think any of my colleagues. I think you're trying to mix apples and hand grenades here, and it's just not working. So we have a motion to approve the bill. We have a second. All in favor of approving the bills?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. Pennsylvania State Police Report. We're glad to come on up here to the podium if you don't mind. We haven't seen you in a while. Trooper Tobin. I remember Trooper Tobin. What do you think? I'm getting old?
Here now. All right, so like I said, there's a bit of statistical information I would like to share for our proactive efforts. I would like to take some pros and cons from 2018 and 2019 for the course of what our department feels that is beneficial specifically for the township to know. And that would go hand in hand with our burglaries, DUI statistics, crashes, traffic stops, and alarms. Okay? So as far as our driving under the influence, all the incidents that took place in 2018, we had a total of 72 in the township. Okay? When I say 72, that counts for DUI arrests for traffic stop and also DUI arrests as a result of crashes. The operator with DUI. That goes for drugs, alcohol. For 2019, thus far, to date, we have a total of 48. that we've made so far. Burglaries, we had 33 total burglaries that took place in 2018 in the township. Out of the 33, 25 of those incidents took place between January 1st and October 15th. And I say that because it's important. When I was looking at these statistics, in 2019, to date, we have 11. So I think that was super beneficial to show that we were actually doing some proactive efforts in the complaints that we were receiving from the residents, and also the patrol checks. We are enhancing our patrol checks. We got more manpower into our state police. We just got 6 new troopers assigned to our station, so that gives us a little bit more leverage in being able to tackle more patrol checks, residential and commercial. Okay? Now, I don't want to say that that's just us. I mean, community policing has a big part of it. Residents and the commercial real estate owners that are calling us and reporting suspicious persons and vehicles has a big impact on what those numbers are right today. Okay? Crashes. 2018, we had a total of 534 crashes in the township alone. 2019 to date, we have 432 that we've investigated thus far. Now, in order to try to cut that number down, I know I've been working with Amanda a lot in reference to issues and problematic areas where there's speed, crashes, etc. So some of the major enforcement areas that were really taken seriously are Smithbridge Road. We have guys and gals there. Temple Road near Morris Road, Kirk Road in the area of the Brandywine Youth Club, Shavertown at Martin Court, Marple Lane, and then the illegal left-hand turns in Heppard Lane and Station Road. Those were just some of the ones that were driving home. So to date, I would like to say this is pretty good statistics. 2018, we made a total of 1,713 traffic stops. Right now, as we speak, before I came down here today, we have a total of 1,757 traffic stops.
Could you
So,
repeat both of those statistics, please?
Sure.
2018, 19.
2018, we conducted 1,713 traffic stops. 2019 to date, as of 6 p.m., we have 1,757 traffic stops that we conducted in Concord Township. So I just wanted to point that out is in reference to the proactive enforcement that we're trying to do in conjunction with lowering that crash statistics that we have. Because as of right now, 432 is a lot. So in reference to alarms, there's going to be 2 alarms that I'm going to discuss with everyone this evening. There's a no-fault alarm and an alarm false fault. So alarms, the false fault alarms is where a police response wasn't warranted. An activation was done. Police were not advised to cancel their response, so either AKA an accidental trip of an alarm or a non-emergency incident. No alarm, a no-fault alarm is where we were we were mandated to respond, and it was actually an emergency circumstance. So in 2018, in Concord Township, we had 571 investigated alarms for the year. Now that is residential and commercial, okay? Out of those 571 alarms, 45 of those incidents were no-fault alarms, okay? That means a police presence was warranted. 526 of them were false faults. Nobody contacted us. We came out when it wasn't warranted. Right now, 2019, we have 442. 50 of those are no fault alarm, and 392 of them are alarm false fault. So the only thing that we would like to ask is when alarms are activated, whether it's residential or commercial, if the homeowner could just advise and take a second, if they can, if it's safe to do so, if it's an accidental trip, please advise that our services are not needed, okay? Some of the community events that we have taking place in October, We have our presence that's going to be at the Rocky One YMCA for our Trunk and Treat event on October 18th. That's on Friday. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Children can come dressed in costumes, walk around the grounds facility for trick-or-treating, and we encourage safe trick-or-treating at that event. PSP will be teaming up with Barnett Valley School District. I'm partnering with their transportation team this week, and we're doing heavy enforcement for school bus safety laws, okay, for the remainder of the month. On October 26th, I did print some paperwork that's out in the front for everybody. That is for our National Drug Take Back Day. That's at Wegmans in Glen Mills. We'll be teaming up with the Drug Enforcement Administration, okay, accepting all unwanted, unused, expired prescription medications. The only thing that we're not going to accept is sharps, needles, anything like that. But everything else, liquids, pills, patches, we'll take it all, okay? And that is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, the 26th. A couple things that the community would like me to address is the Halloween safety tips. So I'm just going to be brief about it. So according to PennDOT, Halloween night is more than twice as likely for children to get hit by a vehicle and killed on Halloween night than any other day of the year. So with that being said, just make sure you wear reflective tape, carry a flashlight, and please, when we're driving on Halloween, just please make sure we're slowing down, being aware of surroundings. Take extra time that day, please. And lastly, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge Concord Township Board of Supervisors for their contribution for our first Troop K Sunny Day Camp. That was the last time that I was here, in reference to meeting everybody in the board and also members of the community. On June 22nd, Pennsylvania State Police were able to host its first ever Sunny Day Camp in Delaware County. Sunny Day Camp is a one-day event that was designed specifically for children and adults with special needs, okay? And it gives the families an opportunity to learn about their law enforcement community that serves them. So our department brought the aviation team, the dogs, the horses, the bomb squad, and in lieu of that, Concord Township Board of Supervisors was very gracious enough to grant us the use of the Brandywine Youth Club on that day, and it was a huge success. And as a token of our appreciation, I would like to present you our certificate of appreciation and our Pennsylvania State Police Pass of Service. Try. I didn't make any promises. Try. Probably. All over. Agenda here.
Today, it was a worthwhile cause, and glad to be of service because you guys are always service to us. We have one question here from Mr. Gillespie.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you for your very comprehensive report. But you gave out a statistic of traffic stops, and you said that in 2018, the total number was in the order of 1,700 something. also for 2019, but we have 2.5 months to go, and we're about the same number. I'm just curious, what do you mean by a traffic stop?
So traffic stops are what we consider self-initiated stops. So that would be a trooper driving down the road and making a self-initiated stop as a result of speed, any of the summary traffic violations, our crimes.
But if someone is pulled off to the side changing a flat tire, that's not a traffic
No.
stop? No. That's
That
an
would be,
an
that would
assist?
be, yeah, an assist. Like, so if, somebody's driving down the road, it was expired registration, speed, any moving violation, stop sign violation, legal U-turn, expired inspection, equipment violation, things like that.
Thanks
Does a
thanks for
warning,
clarifying that.
Yeah.
Trooper Tobin, does a warning count for a traffic stop?
Yes, I mean, we're allowed to use discretion. So if the trooper decides that maybe it was a broken tail, we would provide a warning. Now, this doesn't go for everybody, but again, it's different for every trooper. We'd provide a warning, get the tail light fixed, and given 10 days to go to our state police barracks and show us that it was fixed before a citation is.
Further, could you give us a little, what is the procedure for PSP regarding abandoned vehicles on the roadway?
So it's a little bit different if it's a roadway and private property. So we'll take it if it's on the roadway, say if it's on Route 1. If it constitutes as a hazard, which an abandoned vehicle on the side of the road, it is a hazard for us, for the motoring public. So we would then initiate a stop, okay? Then we would attempt to get a hold of the vehicle owner. Say, hey, listen, why is the vehicle on the side of the road? If they're going to make an effort to come and pick up the vehicle. Sometimes people do. They leave it on the side of the road, try to get help, and then come back. But if we don't make contact with them, then the vehicle will be towed. Okay? And then it gets towed to one of our partnered towing companies. We have, I think, several. So once the vehicle gets towed, it gets towed to that lot, and then we're mandated to make contact with that vehicle owner, either a certified letter and or a phone conversation and or going to their house if it's in our jurisdiction. Contact and say, hey, your vehicle is here.
This is just state roads, township roads would not be applicable?
No, township roads would be applicable as well. The only thing that changes the guidelines, like I said, is private property.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your report. Moving right along, Sewer Department, Mr. Gillespie.
Yes, I have the report for September. The main plant and Riviera plant continue to meet discharge requirements within the parameter of the NPDES permit. The operations staff performed 9 lateral inspections as required for resale certification. The township is continuing to work with Spring Hill Farm, Chadsford Township, Pettinaro, and Delcora regarding the installation of public sewers in the service area that extends through Smithbridge Estates. DEP has approved the project. The intermunicipal agreements are being finalized. The improvement security agreements have been extended to allow for sewer construction to begin hopefully in the spring or summer of 2020. And
Thank you, John.
further on in the meeting, we're going to talk about Penn's Grant 1 and 2, but that's the end of the sewer report.
Thank you. Code Enforcement Mano is not here, but his report is part of the record. Planning Commission, Rich Jewelson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, pleased to present the activities of the Planning Commission for September 2019. 400 Smithbridge Road is a final minor subdivision. 400 Smithbridge Road is 3.091 acres. A Klein presented an overview of the plan and noted that 2 issues with the plan: stormwater issue with an adjacent neighbor and a number of trees to be removed and replaced. There's an open violation regarding the condition of a house in front of the property. G.D. Hoopman has been working with Nate and the adjacent property owner, has resolved the stormwater issue. G.D. Hoopman was not aware of the violation, but will address the violation with his client. The applicant is prepared to discuss with council how they would like to have the tree handled. The Planning Commission voted to recommend approval. Second project was Shetty Limited Partnership, preliminary land development, 1097 Smith Road, 2.6 acres. The applicant proposes to develop the site as a child daycare center and with access through the shopping center. The plan calls for removal of existing garage and construction of a new 1,188 square foot building. Nate Klein discussed the issues with traffic, circulation tests, property line issues, correspondence from the Lantern, and residents' concerns. Stated he would not recommend approval at this time. C.D. Hoopman has requested a 90-day continuance on behalf of the applicant as review comments received from Benoni on September 13th, 2019. Based on the letter the solicitor received from the township, the township has a policy of no more than 3 extensions would be granted. The commission voted unanimously not to recommend approval to council. Scheduled for the month, the agenda meeting will be held on October 14th. Public meeting will be on to October 21st, and the caucus meeting will be October 29th. Thank you.
Thank you. Solicitor, Mr. Donahue.
Yes, let the record reflect that the council did meet in executive session this evening to speak to real estate issues and the engagement of an appraiser to do due diligence on behalf of the township. That's all.
Thank you. Township Engineer, Nate.
Nothing tonight.
Amanda.
I just want to thank everyone who participated in Recycle Day. It was a really great day. We had over 215 cars come through. We recycled 113 TVs and computer monitors, and we discarded 4.73 tons of electronic waste were recycled appropriately. So I just want to thank everyone so much. Council members, thank you so much. We lucked out with weather this year. It was a great day, and we look forward to seeing everybody back in the spring.
Thank you. Public comment? I think in memory of Rufus, I'll have to ask for Rufus. We'll miss you, buddy. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move right on. Under old business, there's none. Proclamation we did already. Mr. Crossan, do you want to handle the open space conservation land purchase item 2 on the agenda, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. We have up on the screen here a rendering showing the location of the purchase of open space of the Deneno property on Featherbed Road. We passed this resolution at our agenda meeting, and this is just simply reaffirming that for the public good and informational purposes. So I'll go ahead and read this. Whereas Concord Township desires to obtain open space lands for the use and enjoyment of Concord Township citizens, and whereas Harold and Virginia Deneno, collectively the sellers, and Concord Township desire to enter into an agreement of sale to purchase approximately 2.98 acres of real property located at 641 Featherbed Lane. And whereas Concord Township has obtained an appraisal in conformity with state law, concluding that the value of the property is in excess of $210,000, the parties have agreed to the purchase of the property by Concord Township for $210,000 pursuant to the terms and conditions in the agreement of sale. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Concord Township Council accepts and approves the terms and conditions as outlined in the agreement of sale and authorizes the township manager to execute said agreement of sale substantially in the form of the exhibit and instruct township professionals to conduct any necessary surveys and reviews and to arrange for the payment of the sales price and associated costs from the capital reserve funds and for the township solicitor to proceed with the settlement as soon as possible.
I assume that is in the form of a motion, Mr. Crossan?
We already moved this, so
we need a motion to reaffirm it?
You can reaffirm it, yes,
Let's have a
that's correct.
motion to reaffirm it, just so we dot the i's and cross the t's.
correct. So, Mr. President, I move that we reaffirm Resolution 44 of 2019 as
Second.
recited.
We have a second by Mr. Gillespie. Any questions or discussions?
This is being paid out of the Capital Reserve Fund.
This is being paid out of the money, Josh, not Josh, John, it's the money that we moved over last year for
Correct.
open space reserve.
Correct. This is from the 3.5 million that was allocated into the capital reserve.
Okay.
And just in terms of the importance of this, I would just like to highlight that it's adjacent to the Concord Hunt HOA space, open space, so that purple open space, the purple areas that you see in the middle of the map rendering up there, that's Concord Hunt Homeowners Association open space, and so it adjoins that. Then it is near the Garnet Valley Greenway, which is a proposed trail that we have in the works. And Amanda is a great Vanna White. It expands the protected open space in the south central area of Concord, which includes Clayton Park, Bush Hill Farm, the dog park, and the Hall property, all of which are highlighted in various colors there. And it, probably most importantly, I believe, is that it is identified in the Delaware County Natural Heritage Inventory of 2011 as part of the supporting landscape for the Clayton Park Shavertown Woods Natural Heritage Area. So we have a variety of reasons here for the strategic rationale for this purchase, both ecological as well as recreational, for the public good. And we will post this rendering as well as an associated press release on the township website and make it available to the public.
We have a motion and a second. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. John Gillespie, you want to handle Resolution 45 of 2019, please?
Sure. This is a resolution for Act 537, plan revision for Penn's Grant 1 and 2 sewer project. The resolution of Concord Township Council, Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Whereas Section 5 of the Act of January 24th, 1966, Public Law 1535, number 537, known as the Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act, as amended, and the rules and regulations of the Department of Environmental Protection, adopted thereunder, Chapter 71 of Title 25 of the Pennsylvania Code, requires a municipality to adopt an official sewage facilities plan, providing for sewage services adequate to prevent contamination of waters and/or environmental health hazards with sewage wastes, to revise said plan whenever it is necessary to meet the sewage disposal needs of the municipality. And whereas Bradford Engineering Associates has prepared a Component 3M Minor Act 537 plan revision. The name of the project is the Penn's Grant 1 and 2 sewer project and will provide public sewers to a section of the township in need. And whereas Penn's Grant 1 and 2 consists of 149 existing residential single-family homes. The alternative of choice for this section of the project is the installation of a new low-pressure sewer system. All homes will connect to the new public sewer via individual grinder pumps. Key implementation activities and dates include the following. Pennsylvania DEP Act 537 plan approval will be the base. That would be 0 days. And the sewer detailed design, 30 days. Submit design to Pennsylvania DEP for Part 2 permit, 30 days. Solicit bids for construction, 70 days. Receive Part 2 permit, 100 days. Start construction, notice to proceed, 100 days. Complete construction, 280 days. Facility startup, 300 days. What that is, from the beginning of DEP's approval to the facility startup would be a total of 300 days. So whereas Concord Township finds the facility plan described above conforms to applicable zoning, subdivision, and other municipal ordinances, and plans a comprehensive program of pollution control and water quality management. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Concord hereby adopt and submit to the Department of Environmental Protection for its approval as a revision to the official plan of the municipality, the above referenced facility plan. The municipality hereby assures the department of the complete and timely implementation of said plan as required by law. Section 5, Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act as amended. In form of a motion, Mr. President, approved and resolved this day of October 2019.
There's a
October
motion.
15th.
Motion. Do we have a second?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Crossan, item 4, Resolution 46 regarding open space.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution number 46 of 2019 states, whereas Delaware County Council has established an open space and recreational municipal grant program to be utilized by the municipalities of Delaware County, and whereas the grants may be used by the municipality for the improvement or acquisition of municipal recreation land, and whereas the municipality of Concord, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, desires to participate in the Delaware County Open Space and Greenways Municipal Grant Program in order to help fund the Hall Hillsborough acquisition and preservation. And whereas the municipality will have available $625,500 for its required match to complete this project. Now therefore, by the governing body of Concord Township, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, as follows, that the municipality of Concord, Delaware County, PA, hereby approves the filing of an application for the Delaware County Municipal Grant Program Assistance, and that Amanda Sirach, Township Manager, is hereby authorized and directed to execute and file the appropriate forms with the Delaware County Planning Department. This is duly presented and adopted by the Concord in a public meeting held the third day of September,
Okay,
October 15th. That was a
Yeah,
typo in this
okay.
application here, but that is the resolution. Mr. President, I so move.
Okay, do we have a second? Any questions or discussion?
Question, what's the percentage breakdown for this grant?
I
Again,
think the county borrowed, countywide, I think $10 million for open space. I think they will give you 10% of your request up to $250.
Yeah.
So
I believe there's
chances
a
are we
cap.
could get 62.5 back on this.
say again?
They will give you 10% of your request up to a maximum of $250,000.
So we're looking like $85,000, $90,000
You might be, 10% would be we have, the grant is for $625,000, correct, Josh?
62.5.
We actually are requesting the max. So that number, less 250 is what we spent, and then that's how they work it out. So we sort of say we spent X, they'll give us up to the 250.
Right.
Okay. And where would that grant money go back into? The capital reserve fund?
Go back into open
Correct.
space.
It would go into the capital reserve fund where this was paid out of.
Gotcha. All right, great.
And this is supposed to be announced next week on the 22nd.
At council, county council.
Correct.
Okay. Motion is second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is Resolution 47, 400 Smithbridge Road. Do you have a plan for that? See Mr. Hoopman here?
Do.
Here for this? Too? Well,
I probably know more about it.
Carl don't mind you sending his bill to Chetty.
I'll give,
I mean, to Conrad, I'm sorry.
maybe I'll give Matt a break and I'll walk through this plan real quick. It's a two-lot subdivision off of Smithbridge Road. It is east of, with its intersection of Concord Road. There's an existing, we'll call it dilapidated house here in the front, a small rancher. The new lot will be at the rear. That'll be a flag lot. So it's essentially a two-lot subdivision. The Planning Commission did recommend approval at their meeting last month with several conditions. Probably three discussion items are worth bringing up to council's attention. First was the existing notice of violation for this existing structure that's been in disrepair that needs to be resolved prior to the recording of plans, was something the Planning Commission recommended. Second, the math on the tree count was not complete. So we've asked the applicant the design engineer, Matt, to double check the tree count and confirm that they can plant the required replacement trees on either lot, which we believe there's enough space to do. Worst case, if we have the discussion, the next step would be having a discussion about the tree fund. But again, the goal would be to get these trees planted on either lot. Third, there's a bit of what I'll call a regional stormwater issue that involves the adjacent property owner. Myself, Matt Hoopman, and several of us have met with this owner. I'm trying to resolve this kind of amicably with multiple parties. We think we've got something that's going to work to everybody's satisfaction. And while thinking something's going to work is one thing, getting something in writing from the adjacent property owner is something else, and that's what I'm recommending we do here. So I've suggested language along those lines. I can pull up the grading plan real quick. Again, this shows essentially the new lot in the back. New structure here, the rain garden here in the front for stormwater, driveway going back out to the front, out the flag lot portion. So again, fairly straightforward for a two-lot subdivision with just those three kind of wrinkles I just brought up. I can certainly answer any questions, or we can defer to Matt and test his knowledge on it as well.
Just to be sure, the stormwater issue regarding the Laughlin property, and I will get into this
That's in there.
in a minute. There appears to be that we're going to want something in writing from Mr. Laughlin.
Correct.
He
And that-
agrees with everything being done,
Correct.
before they do anything back.
Exactly right, yeah. And the Laughlin property is essentially the property immediately to the east, and the drainage essentially kind of flows through the Laughlin property. It's been an ongoing drainage issue that exists today, before this lot even gets developed. Matt appears to want to say something.
So the bill up until now goes to Conrad, and you just,
Yeah, if I may, on that one issue, I have personally spoken to Chuck Laughlin on numerous occasions. And if you notice, the size of that facility in front of that house was probably 3 or 4 times the size it needs to be. And that was in the effort to hold the maximum amount of water back, of the water which naturally drains from the subject property to Laughlin. But he is happy with our latest proposal. Nate did forewarn me they'd probably want that in writing. And I don't think that's going to be any problem to get that in writing. Because, again, I've personally had discussions with
solution here, but before I do, Mr. Donahue, item 4 here, we're about this Laughlin thing. Should we be adding wordage to that and subject to approval of the township solicitor? Final minor subdivision, 400 Smithbridge Road. Nate recited the location and what the mission of this subdivision request is. It would be approved subject to the following conditions. Number 1, compliance with all comments contained in the Pannoni Review Letter dated September 8th, 2019, attached. Number 2, compliance with all comments contained in the Sewage Enforcement Officer's Memorandum dated June 13, 2018, copy attached. Number 3, compliance with all comments contained in the Fire Marshal email dated January 11, 2019, attached hereto as Exhibit D. Number 4, prior to submission of record plans, the applicant shall provide notarized confirmation of the verbal agreement noted in G.D. Hootman and Sons, August 29th, 2019 correspondence. Number 10, regarding permission to discharge stormwater onto the Laughlin property, said agreement to be subject to the review by the township solicitor. Number 5, prior to submission of record plan, the applicant shall have resolved the outstanding township violation notice dated August 20th, 2018 to the satisfaction of the code enforcement officer. Number 6, prior to submission of record plan, the applicant shall provide a detailed count of trees to be removed and an updated landscape plan indicating treatment placement on either lot. Number 7, the deed for Lot 2 shall indicate no further subdivision is allowed. Further subdivision, okay. Either way. All right. John, you got me off my game there. Sign, seal, surveyor certification of placement of monuments and pins must be filed with the township prior to recording the signed plan. Number 10. Number 9, plans are submitted in electronic format acceptable to township consulting engineer. 10, all deeds for the properties, legal descriptions, easements, driveways, easements, and stormwater management, O&M agreements are to be submitted for review and approval by the township engineer and the township solicitor prior to the release of the signed plans. There a motion to approve Resolution 47 of 2019. There a second?
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Conditions acceptable to the applicant? Not here? Okay. Moving right along, Nate, we have the 1097 Smithbridge Road Chetty Daycare Facility preliminary land development application. I heard Mr. Julison's comments earlier that I think it was customary for the Planning Commission to only allow 3 extensions. I don't know if that is written in the MPC. From my years on the Planning Commission, I don't specifically recall that, but I think there's been a sense of frustration from the Planning Commission to see things just seem to be dragging along. maybe you can bring us a little up to date on that, and we can decide what we want to do with this plan. Thank you.
Yes, our firm prepared the land development plans for Carl Chetty. Carl is a township resident. He also owns the retail facility at Macomb Avenue and Route 202. And this site, 1097 Smithridge Road, is a property that he's equitable owner, which sits behind that retail center. And these plans were submitted originally to the township on July 2nd of 2018, accepted by the board on July 11th. So that was 15 months ago. That is a bit more time than we would have wished. I could probably characterize the time as the first 5 or 6 months going what we would normally expect in the township process. Admittedly, there was a dead period of time where Carl's attention was diverted to other projects that required immediate attention, but the plans were resubmitted in May, and we got a second review from the township engineer. I think there was 42 comments in the original letter, and at this point in time, 31 have been resolved. There's a couple comments about permits that are third-party permits that are needed. We've made corrections for another 6 or so comments that have not been resubmitted to the township yet. But during this last few months, there was four key issues they really wanted to have addressed appropriately. Again, this is just a preliminary plan. It's not a final. It was a traffic study. It was getting concurrence of the plan by the owner of the Lantern Apartments behind us, resolving a driveway encroachment onto our property, and a perk test for stormwater management. And in that vein, over the last few months, a traffic report, Carl did hire Man Associates to do a traffic report. It was submitted. Nate's office had comments. Carl's traffic engineer is addressing those comments. That is coming to, I think, an agreement between the township and the applicant. Carl is in possession of correspondence from the Lantern Apartments. They are okay with our development, and specifically where our stormwater discharge is due. Our stormwater basin really empties into the Lantern, one of their stormwater management basins. Carl has alerted by certified mail to the adjoining property owner about the driveway encroachment, that he plans to have that removed. So I think it falls in the court of the property owner at this point in time, which leaves us with perk tests, which we would have hoped to have been done long ago. It's just that the owner of the property is reluctant to have the heavy equipment enter his site, even though Carl is equitable owner to do the test. But again, we think that's coming to a quick resolution. So admittedly, it's 15 months in, but there has been a lot of work done by the applicant. Some of this work required coordination with third parties outside the review process, and that always takes a little bit of extra time. So we're pleading to the board that give us another 90 days. If we don't get all this straightened out in 90 days, then shame on us. But we think we can, to the point where we can get a recommendation for a preliminary plan and come back before the board.
So it would just be for a preliminary plan approval. Nate, is that pretty much your synopsis of where we are right now?
Yeah, I think Mr. Hoopman summarized things fairly well. I do think we've resolved a lot of issues. I do think there's definitely still outstanding issues. I think he's highlighted probably the major issues, we'll call them. Mr. Flood did come to the last Planning Commission meeting. I have actually scheduled a meeting with him for next week at his property to take a closer look at some of his concerns, see if we can kind of clarify some of those. But there are some plan requirements and some plan code issues that Mr. Hoopman does need to address, in addition to some of these third-party type situations like infiltration testing, PennDOT, and resolving some of these traffic issues. So,
But if he has the perk test, then that would resolve the infiltration testing because either it perks or it doesn't perk.
yep.
Correct?
Well, right now we have a bed below the stormwater management facility. If that fails, we would move it out in front of the building into underneath the parking area. If that fails, then we have to go to.
Okay, but this is also public water, public sewer?
Yes.
Yes. And I think this operator of the daycare has been looking in this area for probably 5 years now that I know of. And I think he honed in on this site probably about 3 years ago and was unable to resolve the Macomb Avenue situation. That's why I think he ended up, because you have access to the back.
Based on what I'm hearing, I'm going to make a motion that we grant another 90-day extension to the applicant.
Motion, do we have a second? I'll second it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Historically, anybody on this council remember this fourth extension of this kind being granted? If so, what were the circumstances?
I can remember extensions on projects being granted. I can't specifically, but normally they were of the commercial nature. Because either PennDOT or someone got involved, or there were sewer planning modules that had to be done. I don't recall that many residential ones unless they were large lot residential ones. For instance, the Toll Brothers or Pulte or Ryan Homes or someone like that. But I can remember extensions being granted more than 3 times. I do also recall, though, I think there is something in our ordinance, if it goes to an indefinite extension, if there's any change in a zoning ordinance or a land development ordinance while it's an indefinite extension, the plan has to comply with those changes. But I do recall there being other projects, Josh. I would have to probably go through the archives to figure out which ones. I might have even been project manager on a few of them.
I do remember that, Mr. President. There have been some indefinite extensions in the past. Been a while, but we have granted them.
If I could chime in briefly to Josh's question. Josh, sorry, I can't see you down there. Yeah, I believe. Sorry, I got to hold the thing back here. I might have bumped it with my knees.
Extra reverb for this concert.
Kind of the policy. Years ago, it was never really codified, or kind of more of a policy thing, just to clear the queue of all these definite extension projects. Somebody would submit something, it would sit here for years. A little way to move things through. That's just kind of my background.
Like I said, if we can't get it done in 90, shame on us.
In 3 months, Nate broke it. Can't get it done in 3 months. We're not going to be sitting there having the same conversation.
Correct, we have to reapply.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor of giving another 90-day extension, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None? Okay. Carl, I know he's probably been slouching. Matt. Okay?
Thank you.
Just to give us a little 322 update, if you don't mind. Well, you broke it. Oh, Amanda, tomorrow we need you to go in there and type in the subtitles. You have to type in the subtitles.
It was asked that I provide a brief update on the 322 project. So for those that don't know, there is a special website, and it is www.us322conchester.com that they do regularly update. And I think the big takeaways are probably the following. We obviously all see the continued progress, but it is still on target to be finished, this section, by late 2020. So that would be about this time next year, which is good to see. The pad site for the future maintenance building has been completed. They're expecting to start that work in 2021, and it's on the plan for PennDOT to start the next section going down through Upper Chichester in 2021. So fingers crossed, no promises. But again, it looks like another year away from that being open. We've had very minimal complaints here in the township. It's proceeded pretty well, especially with some tough weather. So knock on wood, so far so good, I think, on the 322 for at least our portion of it.
And as one of 7, in my personal opinion, traveled that road for many, many years. I have to compliment the residents of Concord Township. I know it's been a burden with detours. I know it's problematic in some instances. But I think everybody here knows that road was that bad that it needs to be fixed. I think we all deserve, our residents, pat on the back for putting up with it. What's temporary inconvenience, permanent improvement. I think that next phase through Bethel and Chi is going to be a nightmare. Will be done up here. All right. Award snow removal services contract. I think we got bids in, and the low bidder is Dan Kelly Landscaping. Amanda, met all the other requirements in the specifications. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we are going to ask for a motion to award this year's snow removal. What happened to that slide with? Never mind, we don't put it up there. I want to jinx it. Dan Kelly's Landscaping, 3521 Amos Creek Road in Booth Wynn. Do I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Mr. Mahoney is abstaining because I think he has done some work alongside Mr. Kelly on some projects. They are not business partners. Because of that relationship, I think he feels more comfortable abstaining, correct? Okay. Award bid for Green Light Go LED traffic signalization replacements. I guess that's you, Nate.
Yes, we opened bids this morning. This is a grant that we got through PennDOT. We had two bidders, Lenai Electric and Wyoming Electric. The low bidder was Lenai at $177,492, about $10,000 less than the second low bidder. And this is a very good number. It's below our budget number. The short version on this project is it's a what we call an 80-20 with PennDOT. They're paying 80% of it. The township is paying 20% of it. Total project cost of about $250, give or take. And what this will do is we are going to replace every single traffic head and pedestrian crossing head in the township with the latest LED technology, which will do two things. One is it's going to replace all the existing LEDs that are dated, and anywhere we don't have LEDs, we will now have LEDs. So we'll reduce our costs with Pico, and it's a maintenance item for the township. So this is something we do on a regular basis where our contractor goes out there and replaces these signals. So we're going to be able to get all new signals in, and we're going to have a lifetime, a 6, 7, 8 year lifetime for different lights. So again, a maintenance cost that PennDOT's picking up 80% is the short version. One nice feature is we are going to make these, instead of the yellow signals you see, these will be black. So they'll match better with the traffic signal poles we have out there that are black in a lot of places. So kind of a neat project from a maintenance perspective, and we're recommending this be awarded to Lenai Electric, and if awarded, we'll coordinate the contracts, and hopefully this will get completed in the next 45 to 60 days. So I guess we would need a motion to approve, to award the contract to Lenai Electric.
So moved.
I'd like to take items 10, 11, 12, 13 together. We're going to authorize, advertise property maintenance ordinance, advertise for the sewer maintenance contract, authorize advertisement for bids for flood trolling, authorize advertisement for bids for lawn maintenance. Motion to approve all those advertisements.
So moved.
We have a second. Questions or discussion? Questions or discussions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Unless we have some,
Try this microphone. A escrow release for 291 Wilmington Westchester Pike, dialysis facility, and the birds. We had an original escrow amount. There have been no releases. Work is all complete. Recommending the final release of $1,886.40 for all of these site improvements projects. That's in the.
we have a motion. Do we have a second? Questions or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. There are no plans to accept review. Other council matters? Yes, sir. I think we are having Sonny, where are we with that? We're having another hearing. Are we going to re-advertise that ordinance? There were some changes made to it. Shut the microphone. Okay.
What amendments? Jaworski, if you'll recall, that's not exactly the history. Made some changes, added some road stop sign list. You requested that it be advertised. I agree with you that it should be advertised. Jaworski, I disagree with you in that regard. We can agree to this.
You,
We can agree to this. The original proposed contained the location of all the stop signs, as with the exception of the two stop signs.
Donahue, in talking to some of my colleagues at the end of the table, it pleases Mr. Tversky that we re-advertise it and have another hearing. We'd like to move on with this. We just authorize an advertising hearing date for the stop sign ordinance. A motion to do so? Move the second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Okay. Motion to adjourn? Any discussion? None. Thank you for coming out. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.